Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Global English Podcast. I'm Jordan.
And I'm Taylor.
We are so excited to be diving into a topic today that is, I think, honestly, the silent killer of English fluency.
Oh, absolutely.
We've all had this happen, right? You've studied, you know the grammar, you have that perfect word right there on the tip of your tongue. It's all inside your head, totally ready to go.
But then the moment comes, the teacher calls on you, or you're trying to keep up with a native speaker.
Yeah, or you're just put on the spot.
Yeah.
And the whole system just crashes.
It just shuts down.
Exactly. It's that classic problem. You have good English inside, but when it's time to actually speak, your mouth is just, on mute.
And the conversation just moves on without you.
And you're left with that awful feeling, just thinking, I knew that. Why couldn't I say it?
That feeling goes so much deeper than just being shy, and today we are going deep into the science behind that mental block.
And more importantly, the actual practical steps you can take to tear it down.
We've got research on mindset, but also on some really surprising, proven techniques to help you maximize your study time.
Oh, speaking of proven techniques, we have a huge promise for you today.
We do.
We found some fascinating research on a very specific tool. It was actually made for training high-level interpreters, and it's been shown to seriously improve your pronunciation.
Specifically things like word stress and sentence stress, which are so key.
And it boosts your confidence in speaking, with real results in just 6 weeks.
And it's something anyone can start doing today.
We are going to break that whole technique down later in this deep dive, along with 4 critical vocabulary words you need to master fluency.
Think of this as your guide from, quiet hesitation to really confident speaking.
But before we jump in, we really need your help. If you find this deep dive valuable, please take a second right now and subscribe to Global English Podcast and like this episode.
That little click helps us reach so many more learners who are facing this exact same struggle.
Okay, so let's start by defining the enemy, that mental block we mentioned. It actually has a formal academic name, foreign language anxiety, or FLA.
That's it, FLA. And we have to be clear here because a lot of people just think it's shyness or, being an introvert.
But it's not.
No, FLA, sometimes it's called xenoglossophobia, which is a mouthful.
Whoa.
Yeah, it literally means fear of foreign languages. But psychologists see it as a specific anxiety reaction. It's totally separate from general anxiety.
What does that actually mean, though, in real life?
It means you could be a super calm, confident, outgoing person in your own language. The life of the party.
Right?
But the second you have to speak English or even just listen to a fast conversation, that anxiety just hits you like a wall. The worry is specific to the language itself.
I get that 100%. In my native language, I'm ready to go, I'm quick. But in English, sometimes I feel like I'm moving through mud, even if I know all the words.
That feeling, that tension, that's FLA in action.
Yeah.
And researchers have broken it down into what they call the FLA Trinity.
The FLA Trinity.
Understanding these 3 root causes is really the first step to beating it.
All right, so lay out this Trinity for us, maybe with a quick example for each so we can spot them when they're happening to us.
Absolutely. So number 1 is communication apprehension.
Okay.
This is just that general anxiety you feel when you're actually speaking or when you think you're about to have to speak. It's a fear of the Communication Act itself.
So that might be like ordering coffee in a really busy cafe, and you're worried the staff will be impatient. That feeling of, I really hope I don't mess this up.
Precisely. The second one is test anxiety. This is the classic one.
Yeah.
The fear of failing a formal test, like an oral exam, even when you know the material inside and out.
Oh, that's huge for students. I know people who are brilliant on paper, but they just physically freeze up when they have to do a speaking test. The fear of that score just erases everything they know.
And that leads to the third part, which is often the one that does the most damage. It's the fear of negative evaluation. This isn't just about a test. This is worrying that other people, your classmates, your teacher, the person you're talking to, will judge you.
That they'll think you're not smart because of your grammar mistakes.
Exactly. That they'll judge your intelligence or your personality based on your language errors. That's what keeps so many people just completely silent.
And that ties into something deeper, right?
Yeah.
The research calls it a profoundly unsettling psychological proposition. That sounds serious.
It is, because you have to think about what language is. It's so tied to your identity, to your self-image. Scholars call this the language ego.
Language ego. So if I make a mistake, like I use the wrong tense or something, it feels like a threat to my whole personality, not just a little slip up.
That is exactly what's happening in your brain. Your brain doesn't see it as a simple learning moment. It sees it as a genuine threat to who you are.
Wow.
And that's why people can get so angry with themselves over a tiny mistake. It felt like a public failure of their identity.
Okay, this is blowing my mind. So let's get into the science of that mental block. Why does my brain actually go silent when I get anxious like that?
This is where it gets really fascinating. So when you feel that language anxiety, the trigger is a part of your brain called the amygdala.
The amygdala, I've heard of that.
Yeah, it's your brain's little alarm system. It's responsible for fear and your fight or flight response. When FLA hits, your amygdala just goes into overdrive.
So my brain is treating a simple English conversation like I'm about to be attacked by a bear.
Pretty much. And in an emergency, your brain has to prioritize survival. So when the amygdala starts screaming, it actively suppresses the prefrontal cortex.
And the prefrontal cortex is the smart part.
You could say that. It's like the CEO of your brain. It handles planning, working memory, and crucially for us, language retrieval and organization.
Wait, hold on. So the panic center of my brain is actively shutting down the part of my brain that I need to find the words and build a sentence.
Spot on. That is the literal definition of a mental block.
No wonder it feels impossible.
Your brain is literally taking all its energy away from language and using it to manage the emotional threat. On top of that, the whole stress response floods your body with cortisol.
The stress hormone.
Right. And high levels of cortisol are known to mess with the function of the hippocampus, which is vital for retrieving memories.
So the words I studied yesterday are basically locked away because of this stress chemical.
They're much, much harder to pull out when your cortisol is spiking. It's a cruel biological cycle.
This is so dense but so helpful. So if this anxiety is, physically debilitating, how on earth do we fight it? We can't just tell our amygdala to calm down.
That's the key question. And the research shows we don't have to get rid of the anxiety completely. We just need to change our relationship with it.
You mean that idea of good anxiety versus bad anxiety?
Exactly. The difference between debilitating anxiety and facilitating anxiety.
Okay.
We've been talking about the debilitating kind, the stress that makes you want to run away, skip class, stay silent.
It just shuts you down.
Right. But facilitating anxiety, that can actually be a good thing. It works like a motivational tool.
How does that work?
It's a moderate level of alertness that actually boosts your focus. So instead of freezing before, say, a job interview in English, you channel that nervous energy into preparing like crazy.
So instead of thinking, I'm too nervous to do this, you think, okay, I'm nervous, and that means this is important, so I need to really prepare.
Precisely. It turns the threat into a challenge. And it's actually more common in advanced learners because they have more trust in their ability to handle it.
Okay, so for those of us stuck in that debilitating zone, where can we practice to build up that trust in a safe way?
We can use technology. This is where the idea of digital buffers comes in.
So just learning online.
Basically, yeah. Studies have found that practicing in an online space, maybe using an avatar or a different name, can act as a protective shield. It lowers that fear of being judged.
But wait a minute. If I'm hiding behind an avatar, aren't I just avoiding the real problem? Real life is face-to-face.
That's a great point. You're not trying to solve the problem in that moment. You're building resilience in a low-stakes environment.
What?
Think about it. In a real classroom, if your hands are shaking, everyone can see you're nervous. An avatar hides all of that. It gives you the freedom to take risks, to try new words, without that physical vulnerability.
So it's like putting training wheels on a bike. You get the hang of it somewhere safe before you go out on the main road.
You nailed it. And this is taken even further with AI tools now. You can have conversations with an AI, and it's a completely non-judgmental partner. There's zero risk.
That's huge. So the first step is to practice where that fear of negative evaluation is at its lowest.
Whether that's with an AI, an avatar, or even just by yourself.
And that leads us right into the next part, which is about changing our mindset. We have to stop waiting to be perfect.
Yes, this is so important.
The biggest myth I always hear from learners is, I'll be confident when my grammar is perfect. And they just wait forever for this magic day that never comes.
It's the confidence myth. True confidence doesn't come from being perfect. It comes from taking action.
I love that quote from the source material. You don't think your way into confidence, you act your way into it.
Exactly. You have to just start speaking, even when you're nervous, even when you know you're going to make mistakes.
So we'd reframe that fear. It's not a stop sign. It's a sign that you're actually growing.
It all comes down to building self-trust. Confidence is just the belief that you can handle a situation, even if it's tough. And you build that belief by keeping tiny promises to yourself.
What do you mean by tiny promises?
Well, a goal like, I'm going to be fluent by next month, is just overwhelming.
Right.
A tiny promise is something like, today I will review 5 new words for 5 minutes. Or, I will listen to 1 song in English.
And the real power is in actually doing it.
Yes. When you follow through, even on that tiny thing, you prove to your brain that you're reliable. You show yourself, hey, I can count on me.
And when you do that over and over, the trust builds up, and confidence just comes naturally from that.
But if you keep telling yourself, I'll start tomorrow, your brain just stops believing you and your confidence shrinks.
Okay, that makes so much sense. So let's talk about some actual exercises, some low-pressure things we can do alone to start building that confidence.
The first one is the absolute simplest, talking to yourself.
It sounds a bit silly, but I've heard it works. Why is it so effective?
Because it forces you to think in English. You just narrate your day out loud. Okay, now I'm making coffee. I'm looking for my keys. You practice forming sentences without any pressure of responding to someone.
The ultimate zero-stakes practice. Can you give us a few specific prompts to get started so it feels less weird?
Definitely. Try narrating your commute. I'm putting on my shoes now. I'm waiting for the bus.
Okay.
Or try to explain the plot of your favorite movie from start to finish. It makes you use connecting words.
Oh, I like that one.
Or even debate something with yourself in the mirror. Should I order pizza tonight? On one hand, you get to practice giving opinions.
The debate one is great. It bypasses that whole stressful step of translating in your head.
The second technique is mirror practice. This one can feel awkward at first,
For sure.
but it's so important for what we call the paralinguistic features of communication.
You mean like body language and facial expressions?
Exactly. When you practice in a mirror, you see yourself. How do you look when you're speaking? Are you making eye contact? It's about training yourself to look and feel confident while you're speaking English.
So it's the whole package, not just the words.
And the third one is recording your voice.
Huh. Everyone hates this one. I know I do. Why is it so necessary?
Because it gives you objective proof of your progress. You speak for a minute, then you listen back. Not to judge yourself, but to analyze. Where did you hesitate? Which sounds were tricky?
So it's a progress tracker.
It's a progress tracker, and when that little voice of anxiety says, you're not getting any better, you can play that recording from a month ago and say, yes, I am. That objective proof is the best confidence booster there is.
Those 3 are a perfect starting point. So once we're comfortable talking to ourselves, how do we bridge that gap to the real world?
That bridge is built with dedicated, active listening. It's time to get into the really powerful technical tools.
Okay.
And it all starts with listening. Because listening isn't passive. It can literally rewire your brain for language. It's the engine for everything else.
But learners always run into the same problem, right? They try to watch a fast comedy show, they only get half of it, and they just give up.
That's why you need to use the Goldilocks principle.
Not too hard, not too easy, but just right.
Exactly. For language learning, just right means you should aim for about 80% comprehension.
80%.
You should get the main idea, but still hear a few new words here and there. That's the sweet spot that keeps you challenged without making you anxious.
That's a great, clear metric. Okay, so now let's get into that super intense tool you mentioned earlier, the one from the world of interpreters.
Yes. It's time for our first formal stop and unpack. Critical vocab, #1, shadowing technique.
All right, spotlight on shadowing technique. It sounds really intense. In plain English, what is it?
Shadowing is when you listen to a piece of audio, a podcast, a speech, and you repeat it out loud immediately after the speaker. You're like their shadow or their echo.
So I'm not waiting for them to finish the sentence. I'm trying to speak almost at the exact same time.
That's the key. You're maybe a second or two behind them. You're trying to match everything, their tone, their rhythm, their pronunciation, their speed.
Wow.
It forces your brain to skip the translation part and just makes your mouth and muscles produce the sounds and the rhythm of English. It's like a workout for your mouth.
I can see how that would be exhausting, but also super effective.
Yeah.
Can you give us 3 different examples of how someone could use this?
Sure. First, a formal example. Shadow a 1-minute clip of a professional giving a speech, like a TED Talk. The goal here is to copy that clear, professional rhythm.
Okay, for presentations.
Exactly. Second, a casual example. Shadow, a funny, fast conversation from a sitcom. Here you're practicing all the natural, fast speech stuff like contractions and how words link together.
Got it.
And third, a funny, weird example. Shadow, a really dramatic movie scene, someone shouting or expressing a lot of emotion,
Why that?
because it forces you to practice emotional intonation. You learn how your pitch goes up when you're surprised or down when you're serious. That's super important for meaning.
That's actually brilliant. Okay, let's try a quick role play. I'll ask you for some advice.
I'm ready.
Okay, so I feel like my English is okay, but people tell me I sound a bit flat, a bit monotone, especially when I'm telling a story.
You know what you need. You need to start doing regular shadowing practice. I started doing short shadowing sessions on my lunch break, and people really noticed a difference in my rhythm.
So it actually works that fast.
It really does. You just have to shadow the speaker as closely as you can.
Okay, so let's talk about those common word partners, the collocations.
Right. We talk about shadowing practice, shadowing sessions, and the action to shadow the speaker. The key word is always practice.
Now for the big question, is there actual proof this works? You mentioned a study.
We found the hard data. A study was done where first-year university students did consistent shadowing for 6 weeks.
And what happened?
The results were huge. In terms of attitude, 100% of the students agreed it had a positive effect on their pronunciation.
100%.
But the real victory was in the objective test scores. The biggest improvement by far was in 2 specific areas: word stress and sentence stress. Their scores went up by 1.3 points.
Wow. Why is that specific improvement so important? Stress and rhythm.
Because that's what makes you understandable. If you mispronounce one sound, people can usually still get it. But if you put the stress on the wrong part of a word, it can completely change the meaning or just make you really hard to follow.
So shadowing targets the music of English, not just the individual notes.
Beautifully put. That's exactly it.
Okay, so shadowing is our power tool. What are some other advanced listening strategies we can use with, say, a podcast transcript?
Right. So once you have the audio and the text, you can do a few things. First, simply listen with text accompaniment.
Just reading along, why is that so crucial?
Because English spelling is crazy. There's a huge gap between how a word is written and how it actually sounds. Reading along connects the visual word to the real sound.
I've definitely experienced that. Next strategy.
This one is a fluency builder, paraphrasing practice.
How does that work?
You listen to a short piece of audio, maybe 3 minutes, then you stop it, and here's the rule. You have to summarize what you just heard in your own words out loud.
Out loud. Why is that part mandatory?
Because it forces you to turn input directly into output. You can't just rely on the speaker's words. You have to activate your own vocabulary right there on the spot. It's the exact skill you need in a real conversation.
It's like a drill for your brain.
Next is vocabulary development and context. The normal thing to do when you hear a new word is to immediately look it up.
I do that every single time.
Try to resist that at first. Use the sentences around the new word to guess its meaning. Write down your guess, then check the dictionary.
Why is that better?
Because in a real conversation, you can't pause the world to look up a word. You have to get comfortable with a little bit of ambiguity and learn to figure things out from context. It's a survival skill.
That makes perfect sense.
And the last one. The last one is about understanding finer details. This is about listening for meaning that goes beyond the words themselves. It's all in the intonation and the stress.
Right, that example you gave about how stressing a different word can change the whole meaning of a sentence.
Exactly. Let's use that sentence again. I never said she stole your money.
Okay,
If you say, I never said she stole your money, it means someone else said it.
right.
If you say, I never said she stole your money, it means someone else stole it.
Okay.
If you say, I never said she stole your money, it means she stole someone else's money.
Wow. One sentence. So many different meanings. It really proves that how you say something is just as important as what you say,
It absolutely is. And listening for that helps you produce it yourself.
which is a perfect transition. We've talked about input. Now let's talk about refining our output and speaking with that polished confidence.
Yes. There are small tweaks you can make that have a huge impact. And the first thing to tackle is the most obvious sign of struggle.
You're talking about filler words.
You know it! It's time for Stop and Unpack #2. Critical vocab #2. Filler words.
Okay, so everyone uses these,
What?
like, Why are they such a big deal for learners who want to sound more professional?
Because they signal hesitation and uncertainty. They clutter up your speech and they can really weaken your message, even if your ideas are strong.
It basically sounds like your brain is struggling to keep up.
Exactly. Let's do a few examples. In a formal presentation, if you say, so like the quarterly report is ready, it just sounds like you're not sure.
Right. It kills your authority.
Or casually, I kind of feel like, we should order pizza. It makes you sound really indecisive.
Even when it's just about pizza.
And a funny one. Trying to describe a serious car argument by saying, and like the car like flipped over, the word like just makes it sound less serious.
I used to do this all the time. I recorded myself giving a presentation once, and I was horrified. It was just, ugh.
Awareness is the first step. So let's do a quick role play. I'll use a ton of fillers, and you correct me with the main strategy.
Okay, hit me with your worst.
All right. I think that we should probably, finish this report by maybe Friday.
Okay, the simple fix is this. Just pause and say, we should finish this report, pause, by Friday.
The silence is more powerful.
It sounds confident, not confused. It gives your brain a second to catch up without using a crutch.
Perfect. So what about the common word partners for this?
We talk about the need to eliminating filler words, or when speech is cluttered with filler words. The goal is avoiding filler words.
Okay, so we pause instead of filling the silence. What's the next step for sounding more direct?
It's not just about the ums and us. It's also about using too many words in general. We need to be concise.
Let's stop and unpack that one, because for learners from some cultures, being too direct can feel rude.
That's a great point. It's time for Stop and Unpack, #3. Critical vocab, #3. Concise.
So when we say we want to be concise, what does that actually mean? How do we get to the point without sounding rude?
Being concise just means saying what you need to say, clearly and efficiently, without unnecessary words. It's really about respecting the other person's time.
So it's not about being simple, it's about being efficient.
Exactly. Let's do some before and after examples.
Okay.
A wordy, formal sentence might be, in the event that it rains, we will postpone the meeting.
Okay.
The concise version is just, if it rains, we will postpone the meeting.
Much better.
Or casually. Due to the fact that I was hungry, I ate the sandwich.
Just say, because I was hungry, I ate the sandwich.
Yes. And for business. For the purpose of improving our customer service, we are launching a new program.
Be concise. To improve customer service, we are launching a new program.
That's it. It's so much more powerful. Okay, let's do a quick role play. I'll be super wordy.
And I'll be your concise editor. Go for it.
Okay. It is my personal opinion that we should make an effort to arrive at the conclusion of this project in the very near future.
That's a mouthful. Let's just say, I think we should finish this project soon.
So much clearer. It takes confidence to be concise, doesn't it?
It really does, and the common collocations reflect that. We talk about a concise summary, a concise answer, or just the general advice to keep it concise.
So we've cut the filler words and the extra phrases. What's the last piece of the puzzle for sounding authoritative?
It's using assertive language. The actual words you choose matter.
So swapping out weak phrases for strong ones. Give us some examples.
Okay, so instead of saying, I think this is a good idea,
Which sounds a bit weak.
try, I believe this is a great idea. Or even stronger, this is the optimal solution.
I like that. What else?
Instead of, maybe we could try this approach.
Very hesitant.
Say, let's move forward with this approach. It shows leadership. And in an email, instead of, I hope this helps, say, I'm confident this will help.
It's a small change, but it makes a huge difference in perception.
Another big one is to stop using disclaimers.
You mean like when people say, this might be a dumb question, but...
Yes, or, I'm probably wrong, but stop apologizing for your ideas before you even say them. You're telling people they can dismiss what you're about to say.
So what's the confident way to ask a question if you're not sure about something?
Don't apologize. Just ask directly. Can you clarify this for me? Or, I'd like to understand this point better. It's professional and direct.
No apology needed.
And finally, end professionally. Don't just finish a meeting or a call with, okay, bye.
It feels so abrupt.
Use a proper closing. Thank you for your time and valuable insights. And always clarify the next steps.
So instead of I'll be in touch, say, I will send you an update by Friday at 2 p.m.
Precisely. It shows you're reliable and competent.
This has been such a deep dive into the practical side of speaking. Now it's time to make sure we're talking about our skills in the right way.
Yes, this is a very common point of confusion for learners.
Okay, it's time for our common mistake segment. Imagine a student tells me, I have high speaking competence because I know all the grammar, but I don't have enough practice. What's the subtle mistake with the word competence there?
That is a fantastic question because it gets to the heart of a key concept. Using the word competence isn't totally wrong.
Yeah.
It refers to your internal knowledge, the grammar rules you have in your head.
The good English inside that we started with.
Exactly. But when we talk about your ability to actually use that knowledge in the real world, especially in a way that can be measured for a job or a university, we need a more specific word. We need to talk about proficiency.
Let's stop and unpack that right now, because this word is the difference between knowing English and being able to use English.
Yes, it is. It's time for Stop and Unpack, #4. Critical vocab #4. Proficiency.
I see this word on job applications all the time. Oral proficiency, language proficiency. How is it really different from just saying you have good ability?
Proficiency is about your functional skill level that you get from training and practice. The key word is functional. It describes how well you can actually perform with the language.
So competence is knowing 500 words, but proficiency is being able to use those 500 words correctly and fluently in a real conversation.
That's the perfect way to put it. It's your active skill level. It's what an employer is testing for when they say they need B2 level.
Okay, let's make this super clear with 3 different examples.
Sure, a formal example. Her written proficiency is excellent, but she needs to improve her spoken proficiency for the new role.
Okay, separating the skills.
A casual example to show it's not just for language. He achieved high proficiency in fixing cars after years of practice. It's about a practical skill.
Got it.
And a funny, weird example. After one lesson, my proficiency in juggling was still basically 0.
So it's about being good at actually doing something. Let's do a role play to lock it in.
You start.
Okay, so I'm applying for a job that requires a language certificate, and I'm worried my conversational English isn't good enough.
They will be looking for you to demonstrate professional proficiency. They'll probably test your C1 level oral proficiency in the interview, which is more than just chatting. It's about handling meetings and making arguments.
Right, so I need to think about my functional skill, not just my knowledge.
Exactly. And let's talk about the common word partners for this.
Okay.
We hear oral proficiency, written proficiency, language proficiency, and the action of having to demonstrate proficiency.
And all those things we talked about earlier, shadowing, active listening, that's how you build from just having competence to actually demonstrating proficiency.
You've got it. That's the entire journey. And with that, we have covered the full path from mental block to mastery.
Which means it's time for the big test.
All right, Jordan and everyone listening, it is time for the pop quiz. Let's see if you are actively listening to our 4 keywords today.
Let's do it. I'm confident this will help. See? Assertive language.
I love it. Okay, question 1. If you are repeating audio right after a speaker to improve your rhythm and stress, what is that technique called?
That is the shadowing technique. My new best friend for the next 6 weeks.
Correct. Question 2. What do we call those little words like, and that signal you're hesitating?
Those are filler words, and the secret is to just pause instead.
Spot on. Question 3. If you take a long, wordy sentence and you cut it down to just the most essential parts, you are being
You are being concise, key to sounding confident and professional.
perfect. And final question. A high level of functional, measurable skill in a language, the ability to perform well in the real world, is called?
That is proficiency. It's about what you can do, not just what you know.
Excellent. You get an A+ on today's deep dive.
Thank you. Okay, let's wrap up with the 3 most important takeaways for everyone listening today.
First, confidence comes from action, not from waiting to be perfect. Keep those tiny promises to yourself and just start.
Second, the shadowing technique is your scientifically proven power tool to quickly improve your rhythm and stress.
And third, you can instantly sound more professional by speaking concisely and cutting out those filler words.
So here is your micro challenge for today. We want you to take 1 minute, right now, go back and find one of the examples we gave. For just 60 seconds, try the shadowing technique. Just focus on the rhythm.
That's your first small step of action. And if this deep dive gave you some new tools, please do us one last favor and hit that like button and subscribe to Global English Podcast. We really appreciate you joining us on this journey.
I'm Jordan. See you next time.
And I'm Taylor Bai.